Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. Your decisions, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, greetings. How are you? It is so good to have you back joining another episode of The Real Journey of the Entrepreneur. It is I, Anita Pierce, your host, producer, and everything else in between. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are safe. We have obviously been experiencing a number of challenges, but I am wishing that you all are doing well. Guess what? I have the best seat in the house, where I have the opportunity to interview entrepreneurs who have the courage to tell their story and also subject matter experts. Yes, I don't know it all. And along this ride, we need individuals who have the experience and skills within their field. And guess what? Today, we are talking about, as we build our business as entrepreneurs, how do we protect it? What does that look like? I don't have all the answers, but I brought someone who does. Mr. Jeff Chery. He is a partner at Cowan Liebowitz and Latman. And his area of practice focuses on trademark prosecution, clearance, maintenance matters. In addition, he handles domestic enforcement issues. That is not my bio. That is the bio of an expert who has experience in helping entrepreneurs protect their business. But enough about me. Let's bring our guests to the table. Welcome, Jeffrey. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's a Friday. It's great. Doing good.
I know. That is very true. So I just gave a little bit of snippet of who you are, what you do currently. Can you just tell us just a little bit more about what you do in your practice, and actually, how did you get your start?
Okay, great. So, like you mentioned in your intro, my name is Jeffrey Chery. I'm a partner at Cowan Liebowitz and Latman here in New York City. It's one of the preeminent intellectual property firms in the country. So, I guess in terms of how I got my start, so in undergrad, I went to University of Florida. Go Gators!
Go Gators!
Go Gators! And I was a sports management major in undergrad, and was fortunate enough after graduation to land a position with the NBA, the National Basketball Association. And one of my, I guess, roles there were I worked on a variety of licensing matters, and that gave me a little bit of introduction of how a major company like the NBA protects its brands and its logos. Also, I had the opportunity to work with in-house counsel there on putting together licensing agreements. I would draft up term sheets, send it to our in-house counsel who would, write up the actual licensing agreement. So it really gave me some insight in terms of how you go about protecting trademarks, how you structure like royalty and stuff, royalty percentages. And that was essentially where my interest in trademarks and intellectual property in general was born. Eventually, I made my way to law school at St. John's University in New York. And then from there, I had a, often people say I had a real kind of interesting journey. So after law school, I clerked in New York City for like 2 or 3 judges in downtown Brooklyn. Spent like 4 or 5 years doing that, and it really gave me the opportunity to work on my writing, work on my analytical skills. And then I was fortunate enough to land a position with the United States Patent and Trademark Office in what we call the DMV, Washington D.C. area, but it's actually in Alexandria, Virginia.
Hmm.
And essentially, as a trademark examiner, I probably reviewed, well over 2,000 trademark applications, which really gave me a real strong foundation in what we call trademark prosecution. And we can get into that a little bit later, but trademark prosecution is essentially how you go about obtaining a trademark registration with the federal government. And then from there, I came back to New York and I landed a position with my current firm, Cowan Liebowitz and Latman. Started off as associate and worked hard. And fortunately, within the last year, I was elevated to partner.
Okay, so I have a question. This is related about your career path. So, what does it mean to be a partner within a law firm?
So, a law firm is essentially a business comprised of various individuals who we call partners. And sometimes you
Mhm.
hear it referred to as shareholders, people who
Right.
actually own a percentage of the firm. So, as a partner, you essentially, like as I mentioned, you own a percentage of the firm. You kind of you're responsible for the daily operations of that law firm. So, under partners, you have associates. Associates are, junior attorneys who, obviously are not partners. They don't own a percentage of the business. They're technically more employees. But as a partner, you're essentially are the business. So if 2, 3 attorneys come together, they create a law firm. Each one of them is considered a partner in that business.
Well, congratulations. How about that? Let's pause on that for a bit and just say congratulations, because it's not often that I meet partners of a law firm. How amazing is that?
No,
Salute.
no, it's great. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've been at the firm a little over 3 years now. It's been great. The journey and the adventure has been great. We work with a lot of great clients. We put out a lot of great work. So I'm really enjoying the process, as they say.
Yeah. So let's get into this subject matter of the process of protecting one's business, right? So I myself am an entrepreneur, and I have begun the process of really protecting my business after being in business for a number of years. How do you, when one is starting that process and one is developing a business, um, why should we seek protection of our business early in the process?
So one of the main, so obviously when you, as an entrepreneur, you've come up with this idea, you've put it pen to paper, you've put together the business plan, and you're ready to launch. And hopefully we all cross our T's, dot our I's, and we say a prayer, and we hope this business is going to be successful, right?
Mhm.
And then along that journey of creating a successful business, you're building a goodwill in whatever you decide. Let's say whatever the logo is, whatever your brand name is, you're building goodwill and you're building a reputation in that brand, right? And hopefully you're successful and consumers have come to know your brand and they're buying in there, whether it's a service, whether it's goods, they're all in. And you don't want another entity or another person to come along and capitalize off of your goodwill and off of your reputation of your company. So one of the ways you can fight that off is by making sure you're protected from an intellectual property standpoint. And I guess when we talk about brands, we're talking about trademarks. You want to make sure that your trademark or your brand name and your logos are protected so that if somebody encroaches on or comes or I guess creates a trademark that's somewhat similar to yours, you can take some action against them. Often what we find with entrepreneurs, and it's completely understandable, you're dealing with a limited budget, so you say, let me get this business off the ground, let me create marketing materials, and all of a sudden the business catch fire, and then some point along that journey you realize I need to start protecting this. And what we hope doesn't happen is that, like, let's say, actually, Anita, you came to me with your brand 11375 and we did a search. You don't want to find out that somebody else has prior rights in your brand name or your trademark, which could be completely disruptive to the success that you're experiencing. So we always advise that entrepreneurs and business owners make sure they take care of their intellectual property matters early on in the process, so you don't hit a hurdle later on once you're up and running.
So, in other words, don't wait almost 7 years to actually do it.
No, no, you don't want to wait 7 years. Yeah, because you have 7 years of, like I said, building a good reputation, building goodwill, and you might run into a wall.
And that was where I am right now. So, within this process, I like to share, where I am on my process. And I only started, we're in 2022, and I only started this year when I was like, you know what? Let me, you know, figure out how to protect my business because, I am generating revenue where now it's like becoming not really a problem, because it's not a problem. It's more so that as I'm building the brand, building the business, I want to make sure that everything that I'm working hard day and night, sacrificing, that it actually belongs to me.
Exactly.
And not just under the LLC. Because I know that a lot of times when one creates, do the registration specifically within New York State, that they think, oh, I have my LLC, I'm good, and that's it. Please
Right.
correct us.
No, no, that's definitely correct. Often people register there. You go to the whatever state, like, we can deal with New York. You go to the Secretary of State website and you register your LLC, your corp, your S corp, and you think, okay, I'm good from a trademark perspective. When you register your business with the government, with the state, you're just registering, I guess, your company name with them, for tax purposes and such. But that doesn't necessarily protect you from a brand perspective. If you really want to protect yourself in terms of trademark, you're going to go on the USPTO website. You can also register your trademark individually with New York State, but often if you have a nationwide business and you have you have a website where you're communicating with people across state lines and what we call in commerce, you want to seek protection with the overall United States government, and don't rely on your LC, registration or license.
Mm. Don't I wouldn't even add, I'm not the expert. Don't rely just because you have a website either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could also get into that. So, registration is key. And one of the things we can discuss is that the United States has, in terms of the trademark system, it's called the first to use trademark system.
Mm.
So if you start using your brand and you've launched and you're out there, you can start acquiring some rights in that brand, subject to anybody else's prior rights. Whereas in some other countries and some other jurisdictions, let's say we take for like China, in China, the trademark system is a first to file. So in
Mm.
China, whoever gets to the trademark office first, presumably has rights in that trademark above all others. I mean, like with anything else in the legal world, there are exceptions, but in a first to file trademark system like China, you whoever gets to the trademark office first has prior rights to their brand, which can present some issues because you can take that trademark registration, file it with customs, and prevent people from exporting or importing, counterfeit goods. And obviously we deal in a world with trademark counterfeiting and trademark one line the word escaping me, but people who want to fraudulently capitalize off of your trademarks, and they could essentially obtain a registration that blocks you from conducting business.
So I have a follow-up question about that.
Trademark
So
trolls, that's what I was trying to say. Trademark trolls, yeah.
yeah, when we are trademarking in the US, right? So when we are going through the process of, registering within the United States, was a trade office. Hopefully
Yeah,
I said.
United States Patent and Trademark Office, yes.
So when we do that, is it the rules if we do business internationally are not, we will have to also do trade the process in other countries that we are planning to do business? Is that what, because I heard you mention specifically one country, so that made me think that rules govern, laws are different in those states. So that would means that if we're doing something across outside of US borders, that we may need to expand.
Yeah, so trademark rights are territorial. So what that means is
Okay.
you essentially have rights wherever you're based, wherever you're using your trademark. So if your company is primarily United States based and let's say you've satisfied and done everything you need to do from a trademark perspective in the United States, that may not necessarily going to provide you protection, let's say in the EU or the UK, Australia, South Africa. If you want to seek protection in those countries, you actually have to go through the same process in those jurisdictions.
That's so interesting.
And
Um,
which is it's important, especially if you're offering goods. Let's say you're a clothing manufacturer. So if you're manufacturing in a foreign country, let's say like India, you want to make sure you have a trademark registration there because it's going to help you in terms of filing that registration, let's say with customs addressing issues with importing, exporting your goods. You don't want, you don't want somebody else to come along and snatch up any rights that you may have. And like I mentioned, there are trademark trolls and counterfeiters out there that are looking to engage in nefarious acts.
Yeah, that the
So don't, I think one thing for your viewers is that if you, let's say you're all tightened up and buttoned up here in the United States, don't think that necessarily protects you in other jurisdictions.
so planning is key. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Especially if you have a really big portfolio, a lot of planning goes into making sure that you have companies, at least the companies that we represent, have a real tight trademark portfolio worldwide.
wow. Wow. Okay, I'm not there yet, but
It could become overwhelming.
I'm not there yet. But it's
Yeah,
good.
but
But it's
it's a
good.
step by step process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great information to know as we are, building business and thinking about where we want to expand long term. So that's really useful information. Um, Question: are there any limitations to the process in itself and actually doing the filing?
And when you say limitation, can you say that again?
Limitations meaning like, is it are there barriers that one has to deal with in terms of like filing? Is it like necessary documentation that's like needed in order to do it or preventing them from doing the
Yeah,
process?
I guess, yeah, definitely. One of the, I guess, when we talk about limitations, and we've touched on it a little bit, is as part of the overall process is, I think the first thing, and we discussed this when you came to me, is like conducting a search, right? I
Mhm.
think the one thing you always want to do is make sure before you decide to adopt a brand or adopt a logo, adopt a trademark, is that you do a search to make sure that you're not encroaching on anybody else's rights. Because if we conduct a search and we find that there are, other entities or the individuals out there that may have prior rights to you, that could be a limitation as to you going through the whole process of protecting your brand. So one of the limitations is encountering people with prior trademark rights that may limit you in terms of how much protection you can obtain. In terms of the overall application process, we definitely recommend that you seek out the assistance of an attorney who can walk you through the entire process. The application process requires sometimes that you file what's called a declaration, where you're attesting that you actually have rights in the trademarks, you're actually using it in commerce. All of the what we call specimens and exhibits that you provide to the USPTO are accurate. So you just want to make sure you don't, stumble along the way, which could delay the process.
So earlier on, you mentioned about copyrights, trademarking, LLC, business licensing. Would you be able to, just elaborate a little bit more about the varying differences between the few?
Yeah, so often people get confused when we talk about intellectual property. The umbrella of intellectual property, it comprises various areas, right? So, and I guess the three that people tend to be familiar with are trademarks, copyrights, and patents. So trademark is how you communicate to consumers the source of the goods or services that you're offering in commerce. So the way I like to put it, if you walk into a sneaker store and you see the word Nike on the side of a sneaker, or you see the swoosh symbol, the swoosh logo, you know that sneaker is being offered by the company called Nike, and you've trusted that sneaker. It's a good sneaker. Like we spoke before, there's goodwill in there. There's a strong reputation. So trademark is how you communicate the source of your goods and services to the public. Copyright is how it essentially protects original creative expression. So, if you're that, director or a screenwriter, you have this great, script in your head, and you put it down, you put it into some medium, whether it's an actual script, that's what protected under copyright law. You've taken a creative expression and you've put it, into like a script, and that's essentially what falls under the heading of copyrights. Same thing though with artwork. Like the artwork behind me, the frog with the glasses. Somebody had that idea in their head. They took a blank canvas and they created the painting, and they have some copyright protection in that painting. When we talk about patent protects unique ideas like novel, what we call non-obvious ideas. So right now we're communicating to each other over laptops and cameras, and there's probably like hundreds of patents in this laptop. Each little patent represents some different function, some unique idea that somebody had on how cameras could work, and that's all protected under patent law.
Hmm.
So it's kind of, people tend to blur the lines, but if you kind of think about, instead of thinking about what's the definition of a, say, a trademark, copyright, or a patent, just look at the actual item. So when we talk about trademarks, look at the logo, whether it's the McDonald arches or the Nike swoosh or 11375. Or if you're talking about copyrights, think of the book, the movie, the painting. And then you think about patents, you think about like how inventions, how things work, stuff that you may not necessarily see that's embedded in, let's say, a cell phone or a laptop.
So immediately what comes to mind, uh why I can see her face. Cardi B did the what is it? Occur? Okay, I can't do it. That's not my thing.
Yeah,
So what is that? What is that? What does that fall under? Her saying, or however she, I don't know what you call it.
So it's tricky. So I don't know. Let's say if she said, occur in that her logo, her motto. Let's say in a music video, that could maybe be protected in some form of copyright protection. We'd have to look into it, deeper. But let's say she takes that saying occur and makes it a brand. Say I must launch this clothing brand called Occur. That would be protected under trademark.
Right. Okay.
She puts it on a logo, or she puts it on a hang tag on the back of the T-shirt, and now she said I've created a brand called Occur, and that's protected under trademark. It just depends in what fashion or sense she would be using it.
So the other follow-up question is, can you trademark your own name?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the biggest brands out there are names, right? Tory Burch, Calvin Klein, just think J. Crew and Ralph Lauren. So you could definitely trademark it. You can definitely acquire some rights in your name as it relates to whatever goods or services that you're offering. Like I said, some of the biggest brands out there are names like Ralph Lauren.
What if you're not doing it for business purposes? What if you just want to, have ownership of yourself?
Well, yeah, it's tough, No, I understand you may not be doing anything in particular yourself, but you don't want anybody else to use it. Trust me, I remember years ago I did they always say you should Google yourself to see what's out there, make sure there's nothing that's harmful out there. And Jeffrey Chery is actually a pretty popular name. There's other people's out there, all along the spectrum. I'm not going to mention what, but typically if you want to acquire some, I don't know, if you IP rights, intellectual property rights in your name, you have to be using it in some form or fashion. So if you're looking to protect your name in the trademark sense, you want to at least provide some goods or services, whether it's a clothing brand or, you could be an artist like Cardi B. Her name is protected as an artist because she provides services, whether it's performing arts or a musical artist. She does provide some service out there and has some protection in her name.
Oh, that's pretty something to think about. I mean, because clearly I have a 7-year-old and she, demands that she has property and rights over this business. So we may have to.
It's a whole other story. Yeah. Who are the founders of the LLC or the corporation? Who are the members? Yeah, that can get really tricky. That's even outside of the intellectual property realm, and also something that business owners should think about, like how you divide a company, who owns a percentage, how liability is established, and that's one of the major reasons why you create an LLC, because you protect yourself personally from any liability.
Yeah, I may have to hire you separately for my, dealing with these 7-year-old issues in the business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, technically, the Cowan Liebowitz and Latman, technically we are a general practice firm. Our major practice group is intellectual property, but we have attorneys that handle all type of business matters that can help you get your LLC set up, can review lease agreements, manufacturing agreements. We even have a customs attorney that helps our clients in terms of getting their products in and out of the country. Obviously, we have a trademark, copyright, and patent group. We have a strong litigation group that handles litigation matters across all those practice areas. So, we can really, especially as a business owner that's trying to get off the ground, we can handle all aspects of, creating your business.
Which leads to this question, right? So I serve and under one of my hats, I serve as a business coach. And there's always a fear when it comes to lawyers, accountants, and my thing is that I'm encouraging as a business owner that you need what I call your personal board of directors within your backyard, right? To help you to grow because we're not experts in accounting, legal matters.
Yeah.
What has been your experience? Or can you share or break down some of the myth, at least the importance of having, someone such as yourself or in your firm in our board of directors as business owners?
No, I agree. Launching a business itself is so time consuming that, and you're not gonna, like you say, you're not gonna know everything. So you need to put together a good team that can help you steer and direct you as it relates to a variety of matters. And one of them you mentioned is important is taxes. You should have a strong accountant on your side. You should also have a strong attorney on your side that can handle everything from creating your LLC to handling your brand matters. Like I said, you need somebody to review. If you're open up a store, you need somebody to review the lease agreements. You have to build out the space. You may have a contract, agreement with your contractor that you need somebody to review. You also want people on your side that understand just generally how our business should be run. People who are experts in marketing and branding. Depending on your business, you might want somebody who's um, proficient in like government affairs. Like I have a client who wants to open up a medical spa. We're going to need somebody who understands all of the rules and regulations of that particular state and how you go about opening a medical spa. There's health implications, there's HIPAA rules, there's all type of stuff that you need to be cognizant of, depending on what business that you're offering. If you're in finance, there's different rules you have to do with the SEC, you have to do with banks. So it really depends on the nature of the business and in terms of putting together the right team.
And so, folks, it's not optional. Right. I know that in the beginning, that when we're starting a business, that we want to try to, cut corners, but specifically when you're dealing with certain contracts, utilizing like a general, statement of work, a contract at some point no longer it no longer
Yeah, yeah. And if you have employees, you have payroll issues that you need to deal with. You may need a labor attorney to help you put together your employee guidelines and policies. So you definitely want to make sure you have everything covered. But understandably, you're launching a business, you're dealing with a budget. So I think, like you mentioned before, you put together the right plan, a step-by-step plan that'll help you get to where you need to be.
and having someone I can tell you, I looked at the process of wanting to file my application and I'm like, nope. I reached out to a former colleague of mine that I worked with, who was an attorney where we um, were formerly employed, and I'm like, I need someone who does this. She came up with one recommendation, and I reached out to another colleague, and based upon what I was looking for, what I needed, this is where I landed, and I'm happy because that's not something I have to think about. The process was clearly explained to me. I just happened to be one of those folks that I read, I follow through, manage my expectations through the process, and I was good. And I don't need that weight, right?
Yeah.
It's something like I'm someone's mother, I am running a business. Like there's certain things that at some point you can't do it all yourself. Even though you know how to read, why waste the time? Right? It's someone else does this day and night. That's their area of expertise. I turn it right over this way. You're going. It's
No, that
going.
makes sense. I mean, part of being an part of being an entrepreneur is like you talk about, opening the journey to be an entrepreneur is knowing when to delegate, knowing what tasks that you can handle and what tasks someone else can handle.
Mm, yeah, no, not, not
Trust me, even us attorneys, we come across items and we say, I need to get somebody who has more of an expertise in this area than I do, and it's just the right call. And it
it,
saves you time, which as an entrepreneur, it's limited and valuable.
you know. Thank you, thank you. That's what I'm gonna say. Thank you, because clearly, I pay attention to being that I'm in this space and I pay attention to what, entrepreneurs or the trends that are happening either on social media. And again, that's not my area of expertise. I don't go, nope, you should do this. But it's just amazing as to what we are getting ourselves or not really focusing on our craft. it is important if you have the resources and if you have the budget, just do it. It will save you so much time and energy, and that you can focus that time on developing and growing your business in other ways. It's
No,
worth
I definitely agree. I mean, you also save yourself some money. I think, like we talked about before, you don't want to get further down. You launch a business successful just to find out you need to, in some instances, completely scratch your brand name and come up with something new because somebody sent you, let's say, a cease and desist letter saying you're using their trademark or you're encroaching on their rights, and you know could be facing an infringement litigation. Um, having to do marketing materials over packaging, that takes that's a lot of money. So you want to make sure that you're investing the money early on and it'll pay off, ultimately.
So I can tell you personally that I've 11375 has been around for some time. I've invested and I will do something like hoodies and website and business cards earlier on, and there's so many layers that have been included in this process that was one of the things that kind of woke me up and saying like, listen, like the investment has to be protected going forward. So yes, it's really essential and critical going
Yeah.
forward.
So what tends to happen is that you launch a business, you're kind of operating under the radar, and then something clicks, and boom, you're in articles. Your business is taking off, it's completely successful, and that's when you start to realize, you'll see people out there, somebody using 7511. You're like, wait a minute, I've never seen that person do that before. Once you start, getting some fame out there, that's when all the people come out the woodworks. And it's like when you get a new car, you didn't notice it before, but then you get your new car, and now you realize there's a bunch of other cars similar to yours out there. Yeah, similar things can happen with your brand once you experience some success.
Oh boy. Well, thankfully I have you all. I'm no longer concerned about that process. Whatever the outcome is, I'm still no longer concerned. So I have a couple of questions. So I noticed that there is available information for viewers to access about trademark is not a copyright or a patent. You want to describe more
Yeah,
about
so
what that resource is?
our firm puts out this yearly publication, which is called "Trademark is not a copyright or patent," and it's put together by one of our senior attorneys at our firm. And essentially, it's a brochure that really can describes each area of intellectual properties, namely trademarks, copyrights, and patent. Really provides some good examples. It explains, the all of the intricacies of each area. It's a good resource that we provide to our clients and just the general public to help them get a good understanding of intellectual property.
I know I have. I know I'm a little bit more clearer now, but if you are interested, the link is here. It's actually, um, on the website as well.
Yeah.
Um,
If you visit www.cll.com, you can also get it there. You can get it through the link.
so believe it or not, we are coming up on our time.
Oh wow, it's funny because some of the tough, we've really just scratched the surface on a lot of stuff. Like some of these individual areas, we could spend 2-3 hours discussing, but hopefully we've provided at least some initial information that would be valuable to your viewers.
And so, in wrapping up, I want to say three takeaways that you can offer in terms of really thinking about how you're going to be protecting your business. Because we talked about, the process, what it looks like. Can you offer three takeaways for the audience?
I think firstly, like we discussed here, act early. You want to do everything you can early on in your journey to make sure that you don't encounter any hurdles later on. So I think the first thing I would say is to act early. I think another thing that we touched on here is create a good team. Surround yourself with a good team, people who, and I think we didn't we can discuss this also, that people who are bought into your idea. You just don't want people who are just giving you lip service. People who actually see your vision and are willing to buy in and become part of the team. And I think the last one is just to you know have faith. Like you know, entrepreneurs don't become successful overnight. We have at the firm we have large Fortune 500 companies, and we have one man LLCs, and you often see the one man LLC become this big company. So keep at it, and keep the faith and keep the grind, and eventually you'll be successful.
All right, I'm going to add that there. So your tips: act early, create a team, and have faith in your process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So boom. So if we want to, oh wait, before I even do that, I want to ask you the one word rapid fire questions.
Uh-oh.
And these are always fun because, it gets fun because sometimes the interviews can be like, but my interviews are always fun. So,
Yeah.
always fun. So, you ready?
Ready.
Ba, 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 ba. Your favorite borough?
Queens. I'm from Queens. I didn't say this. I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. Queens all day.
Wow. Wow.
That's
What a
easy.
way to represent. Shout out to Queens.
Shout out to Queens.
I'm from Brooklyn. So, yes. What do you do in your downtime?
I guess it's one word answer. I'm a big sports guy. I like to run. Fortunately, the COVID, I haven't been able to play basketball much, but hopefully now that we've looked like we're starting to come out of it, let's say play.
Right,
So
play.
whatever it's play basketball, run, hang out with friends and family.
All right. Next question. What do you do in your spare time?
I don't even know what is spare time. I'm trying to figure out. Do we have that? Like, spare time. I love a good restaurant. I like going out and it's not even about the food, just being with people, especially what we've gone through the last 2 years. Being with people, just being able to chat, laugh, crack jokes, have a drink. I really enjoy that. Yeah,
Pizzas or burgers?
pizza,
Smoothies or ice cream?
ice cream. But recently, I did a 1 week like liquid diet, which was all smoothies for like a whole week. So maybe smoothies is creeping up.
All right. So how'd that work out for you? The
It
1 week.
wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I wasn't as hungry as I thought I would be at the end of each day. To be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
All right. All right. We'll have to investigate that. So, shoes or sneakers?
Sneakers. I'm done with shoes. That's another casualty of COVID. Sneakers. Yeah.
Oh goodness. In 3 years, what will change within the community that you're currently serving?
Well, obviously, and we didn't even discuss this. This could be a whole nother topic in terms of minority. We don't like to use the word minority, but like historically underrepresented business owners. I'm hoping in 3 years that we see more and more like successful entrepreneurs as it relates, just to be frank, like Black entrepreneurs. So I'm hoping in 3 years that we just have more success stories out there. To be honest,
That's
and we
pretty
continue to seek each other's help. I think you reached out to me. I get calls and inquiries from people that are just looking for diverse attorneys, and you appreciate it. So I'm hoping in 3 years that we continue to see this shared success, in the community.
So that was very, yeah, like wow. Um what is the legacy that you are working to leave for your family?
Wow.
That doesn't have to be one word. Usually the last two are not one word, so you can go for it.
I don't know. I think me and my wife is just creating a legacy of obviously she works hard, I work hard, but just a legacy of this togetherness and what it means to be like a family and opening yourselves to others and helping. And it's I think one of the biggest things. You know, I have family members that come to me and have questions. Obviously as an attorney, whether it's working on their brands or matters that have nothing to do with what I do on a day-to-day basis, maybe criminal matters, maybe personal injury. I think there's something, it kind of ties back to our last question about the community. I think one of the biggest things we have to do is share information. I never hold it against a person that they don't know something, because we were never, none of us were born with, a full bank of knowledge. Somebody had to teach it to us or explain it to us. So I think one of the biggest things that in terms of legacy, just being able to share knowledge. So I get emails from people that I don't know. They just want to speak to me for 15 minutes. And I try to take all those emails and take all those calls, because I do believe in passing it forward, because somebody helped me, so I should help the next person coming along. And I believe, like, in terms of family and it also echoes there.
Well, I'm glad to know you and have and this is this is our first time meeting. Like, we've only communicated emails, so it's kind of amazing to put a face to and actually a voice to the emails that we've been exchanging. But I'm super appreciative for the work that you're helping me do within my business, and also, how can we find you? Like, where can we? What does it look like? Is email best? Is telephone number best? I know we have your information scrolling, but what's best for you?
I think email is best too. Emails are ringing off all day, but I think email is best. You feel free to call. My number's on the website. I'm on LinkedIn, Jeffrey Chery. You can reach me through LinkedIn also. So I find that email works really good.
And don't do this process alone.
Yeah, there's people out there willing to help. We're here. Even if it's a brief consultation, we're here to help you at least get started, give you that, initial information that you need to get on the road.
Awesome. So that's a wrap for our interview today.
It went fast. It was fun.
I know it went
We gotta
fast.
do it again. There's so many different topics we can get into. We'll definitely do it again in the future.
So guess what? You're coming back. Woo! You know,
I just realized I committed to myself, but yeah, definitely love to be back.
no, we will definitely, as schedule permits, we'll be tapping in on your level of expertise because, again, that's not me. And so, on that note, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining the journey of the entrepreneur. I look forward to make referrals because guess what? That's how we all do business. We refer those who do good work for us, and that's what we need to do within our community. So definitely very, very grateful for you taking time out of your schedule, and I look forward to working with you on other projects.
No,
Talk to you
definitely.
soon.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So hey everybody, I told you I have the best seat in the house. The best seat in the house. So now you cannot say that you didn't hear it the most appropriate way. No, I'm not the subject matter expert, but you did hear one today through Mr. Chery. So if you are interested in getting consultation services, you have the information there of um, Cowan Liebowitz and Latman's office. You could reach out to Mr. Chery. He did have his, offer his services. Yes, there is a consultation. Make sure you book appropriately and email likewise. And also wanted to show also, the information that was available for download. That trademark is not a copyright or a patent by one of the senior partners within his firm. And you can check out the link there. And it will also be, placed upon the website as well. So, I wouldn't want to leave you about plugging my information. So again, I am a business owner with 11375. We are MWBE certified business consultancy with the city and state of New York. And if you're interested in any of our services, there you have it. It's scrolling 11375.com. Please feel free to reach out and call us or email us at info@11375.com. On that note, I want to thank you so much for taking time to join the real journey of the entrepreneur. We are aiming to provide information, resources, and services on the platform. We are sharing our process, my process, as I'm growing and developing as a business. And hopefully, through this process, you're learning something too. So, on that note, thank you so much. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.